What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Backliners podcast. It's Agro and Barracuda as per usual. Welcome to the Backliners presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app and use code Backliners for a deposit match up to $100. Apologies that we're starting a little late today. This one's on me. You see, it's like 6:55, and that's when my brain goes, hey, we should probably get the podcast set up ready. Don't think that that's out of the ordinary, because it's not. And normally we're here closer than that. But I've got a new PC that I'm working on, and I've got like OBS downloaded, but I don't have any of the background or the scene set up or like anything like that. And I was like, oh crap, I got to switch to my old PC. So it's like 6:58. I'm unplugging everything out of my old PC, my new PC, plugging it in my old PC. Start it up. I didn't shut it down properly the last time. Get the F1 to reboot. Got to do that. Then it's like, it's ramping up. I'm getting everything open. And then Discord starts trying to download an update, and it keeps failing the update. And I'm like, what is going on? And I check my storage on my SSD, and I've got like 1 megabyte of storage open. And I'm like, that's probably what's happening. So then I have to go in and try and find something to delete. And that's what ended up taking so long, as I was waiting for Discord to download an update, which is a new one at the very least for us, Barry. After all these years, you got to find new ways to be late. And I'm happy to say that I have.
Last week I was having the headset and webcam issues and everything.
Yep. And that was good.
And
that was good stuff.
I still don't know why my headset doesn't work. I haven't tried to fix it or anything. I just kind of assumed that, my SteelSeries finally bit the dust.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm still using this old one, and every time I come to this room and sit down, I'm like, I should fix that. And then I'm like,
and then you don't.
I'll do that another time.
Yeah, remember that whole ADHD thing we were talking about? That sounds about right, brother.
I'll do that later, and then never, and then
yeah, you're getting
here we are.
Well, we have some Smite 2 patch notes to go over. The Alpha Weekend 4 playtest has kicked off today. You can play Smite 2 from now until Sunday, I believe. So
Big.
Good chance to get some games in. Lots and lots of new features to go over here, Barry. And let's start at the top, because we now have some new things that as soon as you load into the game, after you've picked your god and you've been through loading cards and all that kind of stuff, you always had your auto build or manual build pop up. Now you also have pop-ups for relics and for aspects. 2 new features, if you will. So relics, just reading off the goals list that AJ wrote here, the lead designer. We want to present players with equally weighted options instead of a default active effect, so there's no predetermined bias. So now you have some limited number of powerful active effects that feel like they can compete with beads and blink. We do not aim to fill this slot out with more effects rapidly. Many relics from Smite 1 just can't compete with these Smite 2 relics and are better suited to active items where they could be properly supplemented with proper stats. So your 3 options now at the very beginning of the game for relics are Purification Beads, which are unchanged, Blink, which did get a nerf, decreased range from 7.2 meters to 5.6 meters, but this is still blink that is able to be used in the middle of animations, but not in the middle of combat. And new Sundering Arc. This is an active, instantly damage jungle monsters and jungle bosses for 500 plus 25 per level true damage, and that will upgrade to 1,000 damage at level 10 plus. It also will hit gods. It will deal 30 plus 1 per level true damage 5 times over 4 seconds. So junglers who need help clearing should probably be going Sunder. Other junglers that might not need help clearing, like Thanatos, he doesn't really need Sunder.
Mm-hmm.
you can get away with going beads in the games where you need it, and there will be more of those now that Ares is in the game as a bit of a spoiler. Um, or you can go blink on those types of gods. So new uh, a new relic that is in that slot. What are your thoughts on the new Sunder and the choice between beads, blink, and Sunder?
I'm kind of looking at it as a hand of the gods uh, option to secure objectives
Yep.
because 1,000 damage is just that's a pretty solid secure. I don't know the timing of it. Does it feel like Sunder before, where there's like a short delay, or is it just kind of like click and then it goes out?
We were messing with it a little bit. I don't know for sure off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it's still a pretty solid secure, and I don't know if it will take the place of beads. It depends on how important beads becomes. I mean, in Smite 1, beads was kind of like the end all be all of relics. Like you against like most comps, you kind of always need beads.
Mm-hmm.
So Sunder is gonna be pretty hard to fit in. I think even maybe for your clear, I think would have to be really bad, or maybe you could have like really good clear and still go Sunder and get away with it.
Yeah, I mean it does
And
do
just be
damage,
greedy.
right? Like it does, and it's
Yeah.
not bad damage either. Really, it's not great damage, but you know, if you're talking at level 20, that's 250 true damage over 4 seconds. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot, but it's not nothing. Um,
What's the range on it?
uh, Again, we messed with it a little bit. I haven't used Sunder because I haven't been jungling in
Gotcha. Okay.
a long time.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Well, it's because I need it. Like my PC is just old, and I've been working on some other things at work, so I haven't gotten a chance to play test a lot. And I finally got this new PC, and I play tested for the first time in a long time today, and I was having so much fun because I was able to record my game and have really high FPS, which my PC, you know, obviously we have a long way to go in terms of performance and all that kind of stuff, but my PC is just like old. It's chugging on every game I play. So today was like my first day with the new one, and it felt awesome. And I went like 13-1 or something like that, just like totally smurfed it because I was just having so much fun and owning. Hades still really good, by the way, as it turns out.
That's crazy.
I know.
That character with being able to dash in his ult is really good. That's
Yep.
if comp was a thing, it would be just Hades meta.
Maybe. Ares now in the game, though, you know, not always Hades' best matchup. Can be a good matchup for him, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, aspects. This is a whole new system, so I'm gonna have to ramble this off for a little bit here. Again, goals coming from our lead designer AJ's mouth, or hands, I suppose. These are combat-focused effects, not economic effects. So if specific roles need gold or XP, we will look to give them those bonuses in other ways that won't require them to forfeit a combat choice. These are designed with a balance of targeted use and flexible use. Some aspects have clear synergies for certain roles or playstyles, but others could be used on various gods or roles. These are intended to be strong effects that scale well into the late game. There are 4 aggressive options and only 1 defensive option. We want to intentionally limit the defensive option to being only functional in the support or support style roles to avoid passive and non-combative early game strategies in other lanes. These do not take up an item slot. There's an additional HUD icon, an icon on the scoreboard to indicate what aspect each god has chosen. And here are the 5 aspects. Barbarian is a passive. Your next basic attack deals 50 plus 4 per level bonus true damage on a 10-second cooldown. Spiritualist, they're all passives. I'm not going to say it anymore. Basic attacks deal 12.5% bonus physical damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters of the target. So basically like a built-in golden blade. Archmage, your next ability deals 20% bonus damage on a 20-second cooldown. Ranger, my personal favorite, Basic attacks and abilities deal 10% bonus damage to enemies 7.5 meters or further. And Warden. Each second you are near by an ally god, gain a stacking buff that provides one of each protection. Stacks up to 10 times. At 10 stacks, you and allies within 10 meters gain 5% increased movement speed. Those stacks last 10 seconds. Bera, hit me. What you got on aspects?
Ranger definitely sounds like the most fun. I think only one really applies to mid laners. I assume that'd just be Archmage. I
They can use
feel
Ranger
like
as well if you're a poke mage. Like, you get 10% bonus damage on all
it's
your abilities. Yep.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, you can use both of those. And Barbarian maybe an ADC too?
Sure. If you're trying to just
Maybe?
hit one and run.
Yeah, I think if you're or just always going to be fighting close range as an ADC, I think Barbarian might feel good. But I feel like Ranger's probably just best.
Warden, I
Assuming
think,
and then
is really, really, really strong.
oh no, I meant for ADC,
Oh,
sorry.
sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I think Warren's really good. What does it mean the stacks last 10 seconds? Does it instantly start stacking again?
Yes. So,
Or
like, you can
okay.
use this to, if you have 10 stacks, you can get your bonus movement speed and prots to, like, get to mid lane or meet up with your jungler and retain all your stacks.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, movement speed is just the best stat in the game.
Yeah,
Always
exactly.
has been,
Yeah.
always will be. So, no real surprise that that's feeling pretty strong.
How big is 2.5 meters? Is that like standard Golden Blade right now?
Um, yeah, maybe it's a little bigger. 8.8 meters is basic attack range now.
Mm.
So 8.8 meters equals 55 Smite units. Smite 1 units, I should say. So you can do the math on, what each unit is, all that kind of stuff. But I haven't used a lot of Spiritualist. I will say, like, I thought about which aspect I want on Hades solo today for a good, like, 10 seconds. Because as Hades, like, I kind of wanted a couple of these. Barbarian just means, like,
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
my poke is really good. I went Archmage, and it helped my early clear, because his early clear has been nerfed pretty noticeably from Smite 1. And it made it feel more like Smite 1 early lane, which felt good. But, I could see Archmage, Barbarian, or, like, you could probably make an argument for Spiritualist. It's the safest wave clear. But, if you're picking Hades and not willing to dash on the wave early, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But I think I'm very excited about the aspect system as a whole. I think it gives a lot of unique opportunities for gods to play the same god to play differently in a different role or with different matchups. Wanting to push the identity of these gods with these aspects, I think, is cool. I'm excited to find more aspects that are more widely applicable and some that are more narrowly applicable but very strong in their niche. I think that's like a cool design space. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of the aspect idea and have a ton of, like, really rough ideas sketched out for, like, where we can go with it next, because this is one of the systems I'm, like, most excited about with Smite 2, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. I think whatever adds the most flavor, in my opinion, will just be the best. And whatever can change the way that people have thought about characters for a long time. If this just allows you to play more things in different roles, I think that's always better in the beginning. Like 100%.
Yep. And I do think that you have a lot of options in terms of what you're doing in different roles. Dude, I'm so torn. I've been, like, I didn't get the upgraded version of College Football 25 because I was just going to play. I just played at my friend's house earlier this week, and I was like, I don't need to pay the extra money for a couple early days. Like, I'm busy anyways. And so you can start playing the normal version tonight, and I've got it pre-downloaded. And I'm so excited, but now like I had so much fun playing Smite 2 this morning that I like maybe I just skipped the college football. I don't know. Now I'm stuck, man. Now I'm stuck. I'm getting
Look, you have
outplayed.
1 weekend to play Smite 2.
I know. I think I might hit some games after this. Um, anyways, just a quick note for our controller friends. Some notes here in the patch notes that movement no longer has variable speed based on how far you've moved a stick. It's there's some weird, really technical stuff that these are the types of things that are really, 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 really hard for us to, even as the people who made Smite 1, like it's there are so many systems buried within systems buried within systems that who knows if someone made an actual call on this or it's just how it worked, like whatever it may be. But TLDR, controllers should feel more like Smite 1. Same thing goes for aiming system updates. Big shout out to Chaos for the aiming thing and the controller thing, I believe. I know he's been working on at least the aiming thing a lot. For both mouse and controller, sensitivities are now 100% matched to Smite 1 values. So as long as you plug
Nice.
in your Smite 1 values, it should match your Smite 1 experience. And then some controller only notes. But again, you'd think that you could just see, oh, here's how sensitivity works in Smite 1. Copy, paste over to Smite 2. It does not work that way. There's no way for me to explain it except it is like 30 times harder than that. But Chaos has been tracking this down for a long time, and that is a big feels benefit, I think, to do that. Okay, let's talk about modes, because there is now not just Conquest. Arena is here in Alpha Weekend 4. There are some new map features. You got some stealth zones added in the center of the arena. Jungle buffs are updated to match the new buffs dropped in Conquest. And there's a new relic. So instead of the ward, because now you have a ward-specific utility relic, don't really need that in Arena. Instead, you have a new one called Battle Cry. So you gain 1 charge of Battle Cry whenever you defeat a player or when you are defeated. So you get a kill or you get killed, you get a charge of Battle Cry. You can activate Battle Cry by pressing your ward key to gain plus 10 strength, intelligence, and health regen per charge, and you have a max of 5 charges. So you can use it to continually get stronger as the game progresses, and that's been like a fun thing to try and think about in just Arena. There's also a new kill streak effect called a hot streak. If you kill 3 enemy gods in 1 life, you're on a hot streak. While on a hot streak, you will deal and take 20% more damage. The player who defeats someone who is on a hot streak gains plus 100 bonus gold per difference in level. So, for example, if player A is level 10 and player B is level 8, player B would get plus 200 gold on top of the original kill streak ender bonus. Thoughts on those 2 new mechanics, Barry, the battle cry and the hot streak?
I don't really understand Battle Cry.
Okay. Instead of war, in Smite 2, your ward is on its own button, right?
Yeah.
It's not in your
No,
inventory.
just the activating the relic to gain plus 10
You just give
is
yourself
per
a small.
charge.
It's like a shard, like it's a
Okay,
duration
okay.
buff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I didn't know it was a duration, so I was like,
I think so.
should
That's
I
what
just
last time I tested it. It was duration buff, so I'm sticking with it.
Okay, that sounds solid to me. I was like, why wouldn't you just wait until you have 5 charges?
Yes,
Why
yeah.
would
It's like a shard that gets stronger as the game goes on, based on if
Yeah.
you kill or get killed.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That makes sense now. The hot streak sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds very like noob friendly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been talking about Smite with a lot of people at work, and they're the low level noobs, like the ones that jump away from danger
Yeah,
and think that it's helping them.
right.
So I think things like this make Arena a lot more fun for them. and it just adds a different flavor to Arena. And I'm not personally someone that plays a lot of Arena, but I honestly kind of want to give it a try this weekend and just see what happens.
Sure.
Because it sounds kind of crazy taking 20% more damage when you're owning.
But also dealing 20% more.
Yeah,
Like,
and dealing.
I huge credit, our two of our level designers who have been working on it for a long time are they're both named Matt, so we call them the Mats. And the Mats cooked with this one is all I've got to say. Like I'm not a big arena player either, but when I do play arena, I'm going for a triple double every game, which as we know is
Mm-hmm.
double digit kills, deaths, and assists. This is like the dream scenario for a triple double player. Like this sounds so fun because if you get too many deaths early, sometimes it can be hard to get back to 10 kills. But if I can just get 3 kills in a row, then I'm dealing 20% more damage and I can make a play.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to be really fed and I'm playing like an idiot. So I'm going to get punished better.
This could also make or break pinnacles.
Yes, easily.
Yeah, in like a maybe a dangerous and then also maybe an annoying way of oh, I would have gotten that pin if I didn't take 20% more damage.
You're just too hot, baby. That's all there is to it.
Right.
Got to be wary of that. So more, that isn't all for Arena. There's new environmental pickups called crowd gifts. So every 90 seconds, the crowd will throw a gift into the middle of the arena. Every time a gift is thrown, the overall spawn timer is reduced by 5 seconds. For example, if the crowd throws first gift in the match, the next spawn timer is set to 85 seconds. Every time a player is killed, the current timer is reduced by 10 seconds. So if it's an 85-second gift spawn timer and 45 seconds were left, a player kill will reduce that by 10 seconds. So basically, you just get to really quickly get a bunch of gifts if there are a lot of kills happening because the crowd is excited, right? So they're going to throw gifts sooner. It's good theming and flavor. Picking up this gift grants plus 15 strength, intelligence, and 1% max health regen, and it lasts for 30 seconds. The gift increases its reward by plus 10 for every 3 minutes that have passed in the match. So you just kind of see these around the map, and it is very fun, kind of like the meteors in Smite 1 on the Conquest map, where like you see it coming down and everyone's like, oh, I want to like get there first and use my jump and then die because I got the Interceptor. Like they play very similarly to that, and I think it thematically works really well. Right, you're in this arena, everyone's cheering, they throw gifts. It's all fun. And there's also a new phase called the 10 ticket phase. So when a team is 10 tickets away from winning, 2 things will happen. The crowd starts cheering for the finale. From this point on, in addition to the gifts being thrown in the center, the crowd will throw gifts at this team. It happens at a random time every 15 to 20 seconds. So whoever is 10 tickets away from winning, gifts will start coming towards you more often. And the brutes on the opposing team get fired up. They deal 40% more damage and receive 40% less damage. So it's easier for the losing team to get down into that 10 ticket phase a little bit more easily. Make for some more exciting, closer games. Thoughts on...
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, it's a lot of new fun aspects in Arena instead of just like... The way I always viewed the game mode was just kind of if the people don't want to fight, then it's a really boring game.
Yep.
And this gives you a lot of different ways to kill people.
Yep.
Just with strength and intelligence gains, and then if you're dying, you also get the battle cry earlier, so you can kind of just int and get stronger, and then go pick up a gift and then start killing people, which that sounds like fun.
Yep.
So honestly, I might just play an arena game and try to int and then see how strong I can get.
Excited to hear how that goes for you, Barry. Running it down 1 or 2 times. Okay, before we move on to the 2 new gods of the patch, got to tell you a little bit about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million players. It is the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. It is just that easy. So get in on the daily action with your friends and become a part of the Prize Picks community today. Again, all you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. That means you can turn $10 into $1,000. And it's available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So, the baseball all-star game just wrapped up. Paul Skeens had a great performance, as we all knew he would. Best pitcher in baseball. You could have gone in and done some picks around that, but of course it's happened, so it's a little too late now. But there's going to be plenty of great action on the back end of the baseball season. You can do things like Kyle Schwarber for more than 9 hitter fantasy score and Bryce Miller for more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code BACKLINERS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code BACKLINERS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Big shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's episode. All right, Barry. Susano and Ares are our 2 new gods. Kind of funny that we had Susano and then his number 1 counter pick.
That's what I was going to say. That's a little mean.
But do you really feel bad for Susano players?
Well, he was never supposed to 100% people.
Yeah. So crazy how one bad sentence on a release show can completely I mean, that must have been almost 10 years ago at this point. He was like a season 3 god. Brutal.
Still a meme.
Still a meme.
It's crazy.
Still a meme. Well, it became a meme because he is he's always had such a strong kit. And I'll read what AJ has here, and then I've got some follow-up for it. AJ says, quote, "We were especially careful to not disrupt Susano's powerful and clean kit flow. Susano has a totally new passive with a focus on debuffing targets to give him a new angle of utility to bring to team fights and to weaken targets he doesn't kill. This passive is specifically designed to reward him for in-hand canceling. Additionally, Typhoon no longer pulls enemies in during its buildup and instead deals damage over time to enemies in the area. So previously, his ult would vortex during that windup and then do the knockup. It doesn't vortex anymore, but does some damage over time instead. Susano was, we have a lot of these meetings on, we call them God conversions. And the brainstorms for these conversions are some of the most fun we have in our work, in my opinion. Susano's was was probably the hardest that I've been a part of so far, because how do you +1 Susano and not make everyone who's playing against him hate their lives? Because he has everything in his kit, right? He's got mobility, he's got great damage, he's got great CC. He is a great setup character in the early game. He is one of the best late game assassins. His only weakness is his lack of CC immunity. And he doesn't have great poke, but those are pretty fair trade-offs for how strong the rest of the kit is. This is a weaker, Susano mains might feel like they're getting a little bit of the short end of the stick, moving from Smite 1 to Smite 2, because while his new passive I think is very cool and very strong, he doesn't have as many new flashy toys, but the reality is you had too many toys to start with, and you just can't. We could have given him something new and really cool, but we would have had to take something pretty significant away, and that's riskier. That's just a much smaller landing zone, let's say in a hypothetical world, I'll put it this way. We definitely discussed something along these lines, but we discussed something along almost every line you could. I'd be shocked if someone brought up something that didn't get brought up in our meeting. Um, but it's like, okay, we could give him something new, but he might have to lose like the pull on his AO2. How good would the new thing have to feel to balance losing such a strong effect? And
Hmm.
it would just have to be so crazy, right? And then who knows if it feels nearly as good as the two felt. So why kind of risk it all in that sense? I don't know, Barra. Do you like when I think of kits that are nearly full in terms of power budget and have very little room to go up? Susano is one of the definitely top 10 gods in the game that just has the most tools in the kit. Would you agree with that and the fact that he needed to get a little lighter stuff here, or do you think that he's not as strong as I'm implying?
I think it depends on only if his. Well, there's two different aspects. If his counters in the game are strong, and then also if the items he uses that he can 100% people are good, then he feels like a completely different character. But if he gets shut down in the early game, or if it's like warrior, jungles are meta. If there's an Osiris or an Erlong running at him early game, and he just can't ever come online.
Mm-hmm.
But it just depends on that like timing of when he gets online. Can he be abused early game? Are cripples good in the game? Does he have enough damage in his kit? Because Susano is funnily enough one of the characters we talked about in pro play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a carry, or even as like a soul laner, just having that character in your game or on your team can just win you a team fight, just outright, just
Yep.
straight up, just win you a team fight. Like he has one of the best AOE ults in the game,
Mm-hmm.
from a jungler perspective, and I agree with you. I think obviously something could have changed, but it would have been just changing something to change something. And I don't know if that is always the correct path. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it feels like you're just doing it almost like inauthentically, I guess, if that makes sense. Like you're just doing it to do it, but
Yep.
there's no purpose to do it because it's already fine as it is. Um, and like he has enough CC, he has enough movement. Um, maybe I mean you already added a mini game basically with like rewarding auto canceling, which I think is fine. Um, yeah, it just depends on everything I stated earlier, whether he's actually like OP or not. But I think from a casual perspective, this character is probably always OP because he doesn't get abused enough early game. But also in the same regard, I don't think casuals can really abuse Susano's like maximum potential.
Yep.
Um,
I
with
don't
like
think
auto
Susano was
canceling.
ever above like 51% win rate.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah,
honestly surprised if he ever hit 51.
I think maybe casuals just dying to Susano feels really bad. Like even like the
Yes.
non-auto attacking or non-auto canceling Susanos, if they're just like pulling you into a typhoon and then you're just dead to his one or like an auto attack, then that's probably always just gonna feel not fun.
Yes.
But yeah, those are my Susano thoughts.
Well, let's talk about the passive, which I'm a big fan of. This passive is entirely new. It says when you use an ability, your next basic attack will debuff the enemy hit. Weave in basic attack hits between abilities to progressively stack the debuff. So you your abilities do not apply this. It's only your basic attack after using an ability. So think of it like a Hydra's, but it doesn't do additional damage. Instead, it applies these stacks. It can uh, your AO, AO1 still the same, the 3 hits. Each swing of that kit afterwards, you can apply the passive. So you can do the cone, basic attack, that's 1 stack, circle, basic attack, that's 2 stacks, dash, basic attack, that's 3 stacks, so on and so forth. So enemies with 1 to 2 stacks have 10% reduced strength. Again, that's equivalent to physical power. Enemies with 3 to 4 stacks are also slowed by 15%. And these all last 3 seconds and refresh upon a new application. And then enemies with 5 to 6 stacks take 10% increased damage in addition to the other debuffs. So it's hard to get to 5 to 6 stacks. You've got to like full kit someone, but then they take increased damage from your follow-up basic attacks, from your AO3 dot, from your other people on your team, other damage sources, whatever. But I'm a big fan of this passive. I think I really like designs that teach you how to use the character. Like this is teaching you what you should be doing in order to get your maximum value out of the kit. And I think we had a magic question as our random question of the week last week. So I'm going to use a magic reference here. Really loose connection, but I'm doing it because I don't. You know what? I'm going to do it because I feel like it. It's our show.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like it, who cares? There's a magic podcast. Used to be called Arena Deck Lists. Now it's Jerry T's podcast with Dave Shields. But Jerry Thompson is a former Magic pro and who also did some design work for Wizards of the Coast. And I remember very clearly him talking about there was a card that was released that said this creature can't block, and he said that he loved it was a flying creature, so it had some evasion. I know that won't mean much to you, Barry, but it couldn't block in combat, and he said that he really liked that because it teaches players where they should be using it in like how this card should be used, and that it's saying it can't block is a design. It's obviously a weaker card, but it's strong design because it tells the player, hey, you don't want this in defensive decks. You want this in offensive decks. Like, use it in the spots where you wouldn't want to be blocking anyways. And I think that that's a good way to put like a lot of, the way I think about that a lot when it comes to designing new gods, new items, all that kind of stuff. And that's a good example of it here with this new passive. He also got a small change on the AO1 on Stormkata. Its cooldown is now 14 to 10 seconds, which is pretty low, but the ability cooldown is increased by 1 second for each additional attack used. So if you use just the cone and let it expire at max rank, that's a base 10-second cooldown. But if you do cone, spin, dash, it's a 12-second cooldown.
That's cute.
So you can better like just use cone. It feels best on like solo lane Susano, where you can afford to like maybe just use one or two and let the last one time out. Before it was always best to just spam and get it on cooldown right away. But now there's some reasons, you especially once you start getting cooldown rate, to let it expire, which I think adds some good decision points for Susano. I think everything else is about the same. The ultimate we talked about as a difference, but what are your thoughts on Susano's changes here, Barry?
I like it, but I also never played Susano. Susano's probably one of my worst characters. Like,
really?
If I had a list, he's probably like top 5 of my worst and least played characters.
Give me your 5. Go ahead. I'm curious now.
Wait. I need to load up Smite. Talk in the meantime.
Okay.
I'll load up Smite.
I will say I am a Susano player, and I love Susano. Susano is one of my favorite assassins. Top of the line in terms of fun, if you ask me. Just options on options on options, and those are the types of characters I like to play the most typically.
I think it was because I would always compare my Susano to like Haddix, who always has probably the cleanest Susano mechanics, or like Haddix and like Pantom and like Last, I would say, for like Susano mechanics. Like you watch them play that character, and their cap is so high.
Yes.
And everything they're doing is so clean, and it's so like it doesn't look like it's hard. Like
no.
And then you play the character and you're like, I could have done that better, I could have done that better, I could have done that better. Like I should have auto canceled there like a little bit quicker. I could have like used my abilities in a different order. And it was always like in my head of like, I just don't enjoy this. So like I feel like I'm playing a character that I'll never play in a competitive setting, and I'm trying to min-max this so ridiculously hard.
Sure.
And so the only times I ever played it were like randomly in Assault where I would just not auto cancel correctly like once.
Yep.
Like and I would just be so annoyed that I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna stop auto canceling completely because I'm just getting annoyed with myself. Um yeah, it's probably honestly just assassins. Let's see, Susano's up there. Lancelot's definitely up there. Like,
Okay.
Lancelot might be number one. That character and his kit has always felt so weird to me. Um, Yamoja.
Sure.
I never put a lot of time into Yamoja. Um, honestly, kind of Tiamat too.
Mm.
Tiamat. It's one of those where you watch like a really, really, really good mid laner play, and then you try to play, and you're like, okay, this is just it's not the same. Like for
Yep.
some reason, I'm not one shotting and they're one shotting, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yep.
Um, last this would be a throwback, but it's probably old Persephone.
Oh yeah, she was hard, man. I was really bad at her too.
Like, I never put actual time into playing her to like learn like the pro level mechanics and everything. So anytime I play her would be randomly, and I think I even tried to because I was getting so annoyed at dying to Paul over and over and over again.
Yep.
Like Paul would be doing ridiculous like 1v3 plays and scrims.
Yep.
And it's like, what am I supposed to do? I can't even get close enough to auto attack him, and once I do, I instantly die. Like,
Sure.
and I think it was like really hard to Aegis as well. Yeah, because he would just like auto attack the air and then just like place a plant down, and you would just die. And
Yep.
you're like, how am I supposed to play around this if he's just like bobbing and weaving and then just like insta gives me? Um, yeah, I would say it's probably top five
I'm looking
for
through
like
the list for me. I will. Hell is definitely up there, and normally I love decision point characters like that, but something about Hell that I just do not vibe with. Um, season 2, when I was competing, she was like the best character in the whole game, and she was permabanned, and then she was left open a game at LAN in New Orleans, and we won, but I literally was like worthless, just did absolutely
oh,
nothing.
I hate that.
And the team we were going to play next was like watching, and I knew that they were going to be like, oh, we don't have to ban Hell. And sure enough, they didn't. We
Yep.
had to. And like, I felt like I was really good, except for like in comparison to my competition, except for the fact that I couldn't play Hell. And that was really bad. I'm really bad
I
at,
remember
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just remember being in those like situations where a character has been like it's a new ADC or a new like mid laner or like a new jungler or something, and you're just in that position where other teams can play the character and you can't,
Yep.
and it's been permabanned the entire time, and then it's randomly left open. Your team's like, "You want this?" like,
No.
no, and then it's like, well, we can't give it to them because it's this character. Like,
Yep.
we can't. It's obviously just like super OP,
Hey,
and
you just got to learn, if I were if she got gutted right after that land because I remember saying like, "Oh, I'm going to go home and I'm going to play 30 games of Hell." Like,
yep.
it's just the only way to do it. And then she got gutted and I didn't have to worry about it, which I was really happy about. Um, okay, one for me is Odin. Odin is not a hard god.
What?
Okay, I'm not saying I'm not like I know how to use Odin and be like okay, but you watch like Sot play Odin, and that is a different god than what I'm playing. Like he is,
Yeah.
he just like does a billion damage, lives through everything, is never takes any damage, gets perfect stuns. Like my Odin is like drawing with crayons. Like I'm like gripping it in my palm, drawing. And Sot is like a Picasso, like beautiful painting. Or, speaking of Xbox, more Wolves back in the day. That guy just, his Odin was different. Like, I don't know. That's a character that every time I play him, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm doing something wrong here. One more is Terra. I don't feel like I'm a very good Terra player. Although once on stream, I did intentionally block a Mercult from hitting my carry with my Terra 3. So maybe,
Pretty good.
I mean, hey, maybe I'm selling myself a little short here.
I feel like you are, because there's only one genetics in the world, and every other Terra player just
Yeah.
like isn't genetics.
Yeah,
Like,
Mike's pretty nice at Terra too, but genetics is like just.
mm,
Emilzy was nice at Terra. He had a nice Terra.
nah, it's different now. You can't say people are nice at Terra anymore after genetics.
Oh,
Like they're
okay.
just you're either genetics or you're not genetics on that character,
Well,
and everyone
definitively
else is
not
just
genetics for me.
simply not genetics. And
Nice. That
it's
makes me feel
dude,
better.
playing against that guy, like we would counterpick him with Ares, and he would win lane. And I'm
Yep.
like, what do we do? Like,
Yeah, I remember him just like being totally fine picking that matchup, and that's when you know you've just mastered a god, when you just like are unaffected by the counter pick. Just
yeah,
simply didn't matter to
I
him.
I remember a scrim of him just I think it was Hurry. I think of him just like walling Hurry, auto attacking him like 6 times, and then clapping the wall, and then he just dies. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to help you. Like he just body blocked you inside of like his walls for so long. I just can't help you.
Well,
And
you
then
know
like
what Steve would have
right
done? He would have dashed in with him.
dashed in, burned his beads, both died. Like
That's what you should have done,
perfect.
Barry.
I needed to shock call that he was dead. I guess
Right.
like
Yeah, you did.
I
Hey,
just
you're dead.
needed-
Good comms. Good comms.
we're losing in a counter matchup we picked. Like we're this is
Oh,
really good.
oh no. Um, okay, well, speaking of Ares, he's the other new god coming to Alpha Weekend 4. Here's what AJ had to say, and again, I'll expand upon it a little bit. Quote, the top DPS support returns and will likely continue to hold that accolade in Smite 2. He will, by the way, he slams. Ares has an entirely new passive and ability too. His passive no longer restricts his builds to the narrow category of aura items, but instead provides him and his allies strength and intelligence through building into protections and cooldowns. This new passive allows Ares to tailor his build towards amplifying the correct damage stat for each unique team comp he is on. It also gives him additional sources of strength and intelligence, both of which he can utilize in Smite 2. Couple things. I'll talk about the AO2 a little bit more. He also got his ultimate chains will now be broken immediately if the target gains CC immunity. So like Dodgy ultimate, you don't have to time your beads or CC immunity. Shackles can now
Does it
be
still do damage?
no, I don't believe so.
Oh, that's huge.
Yep.
That's actually huge.
Shackles can now be fired initially while channeling Searing Flesh. In Smite 1, this was only true of the refire, not the initial fire. Wait, what? You could refire chains while channeling the fire in Smite 1? I never knew that.
There's no way. There's no way. I refuse.
I believe it.
I'm gonna go test it.
Go test it. But now you can fire it at any time you could even do the initial fire during the 3, which is really good. That's really strong. That's crazy if that's true.
Yeah, I'm stuck on that, honestly. I didn't hear anything.
Bro, this god has been out
that.
for 10 years, Barra.
There's no way.
More.
There's literally no way.
This is what these god conversions do to us, dude. Like, this is the type of stuff that, like,
No.
gets uncovered or someone's just got to know it. Like, that is so wild.
No pro Ares player has ever done that to me, ever.
Are you sure, Barrack? He kind of owned you over your career. Maybe that's what he was doing and you didn't realize it.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of it. It would just everything would turn black and then I would die. And I would just wake up.
Yep. Okay,
there's no way.
You couldn't do it in the initial fire in Smite 1, but if you chained, started 3ing, you could chain again, is what this is saying. And I'm really excited. While channeling the 3.
No way. No way.
I'm so excited to hear the results of this test because this is news to me as well. I'll keep going while Barra's loading up. Shackles chains now have visual feedback for the refire duration and chains duration. Thank goodness. Always a big pet peeve of mine in Smite 1. His basic attacks deal physical damage now. He's hitting you, he's bonking you with a sword. You'd think that should be physical. I'm not going to go into the passive because...
Yeah, you can't do it.
You can?
You cannot.
You can't?
You cannot refire it while your 3 is active.
Shackles can be fired initially while channeling Searing Flesh. So you've chained, started 3,
yep,
and tried to chain again.
Yep, it doesn't work.
Oh, well, they lied to us. You can do it now.
Maybe if I like shoot my 1 and then 3 cancel and then chain again? Okay, yeah, I can do that. I can like flame for like a 0.25 seconds.
No, that doesn't seem like what they're saying. Do you have it on instant cast? Do you have your chains on instant?
No, it's on normal.
Try putting it on instant.
Okay. If this is a bug and you've been able to do this on Instacast, that's crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, bro, my entire life would have been changed.
I mean, I'm sure that there's some way to do it if this was a pawn port, so Pawn could tell me something that happened to me in my childhood, and I'd be like, "Are you sure?" He'd be like, "Yeah." I'd be like, "Okay." Like,
You're right.
I trust Pawn with my life.
Okay, so put chains on Instacast and then try.
Okay, Chain of God. Okay. 3 chain.
Nope, can't do it.
Huh. Well, test it in Smite 2 and see if it works there. Maybe they're just trolling us. Who knows? Okay, his new passive. He provides strength and intelligence in an aura. Provides more strength as Ares builds protections and more intelligence as Ares builds cooldown rate. So he basically has an aura that when it takes his protections and you get a percentage of that in strength to himself and allies around him. And he could build cooldown rate to provide that intelligence. So I've been a huge fan of this passive change. It makes you think about, hey, what does my team want more this game? And I played back-to-back Ares games a couple weeks ago, and day 1, my team was really ability caster heavy. So I built a ton of cooldown rate to give them more intelligence. And then the next game, it was a bunch of basic attackers, and I built a bunch of prots and didn't buy a single CDR item and provided a lot of strength.
Feel a difference?
Yes. You can definitely feel it, in my opinion. So I think that is very cool. Chains are basically the same. New AO2. This is still an AoE buff. It's just different now. So when you activate it, you and allied gods around you gain increased physical and magical protections and basic attack damage, not strength, specifically basic attack damage. While this effect is active, each buffed god will be able to extend the duration and increase the effects of their buff by damaging enemy gods. So if you hit an enemy god with a basic attack after you've been buffed, you increase your duration and the effectiveness of it. I don't remember exactly what numbers it gets to, but it becomes a really, really strong buff. And I really like the idea of buff that you put on your ally and then they're in charge of making it better. Like, I don't have to do anything else. I can make my own better if I'm doing my thing. And if they mess it up, that's on them. But I can make mine better if I'm playing right, or I can't affect, they're on the edge of it. I can buff them. I'm not in range to hit them. It's okay. They can handle getting it better for themselves. I think that feels really cool.
It's a very thematical? I don't know. That's a word.
Thematic. You just added an AL you didn't need.
It sounded a little weird. I feel like it fits his style a lot more than the other one. Where he just wants to keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting. And also, I feel like being the god of war obviously wants to like make his allies fight better. Sorry, Trelly's chain is stuck in the ground at a permanent length right now.
Oh,
I
love
want to
that.
watch some Smite 2. He chained and his chain was just like massive.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I think the AO2 is it's sorry, it's broke me just seeing that really big chain. It's I think the AO2 chain is really good. Sorry. Just go back. If you're listening to this, go back and watch his VOD and
There you
his
go.
Ares gameplay and just look for the big chain.
Um, okay, yeah, last one. Oh, it says here in the ability description of AO3, you can fire your Shackles ability while channeling this ability. So,
I don't believe them. I don't believe them.
well,
I
ask
don't.
Trelly to do it after we're done here. We're almost there. Just to go over his ultimate. Now he does the same, pose, attaches everyone, all that kind of stuff. After 2.5 seconds, or no, after 2.17 seconds of channeling, that's when you displace towards you, aka pull towards you. But he does like a little slam into the ground right underneath himself wherever he is. And so if you're, I believe, again, we iterated on this a ton. If it's a little different now, I apologize, but I believe you don't get pulled all the way to him automatically. He pulls you like a fixed distance. I
Oh,
I could be wrong about that.
it says final range 2.8 meters.
Yeah, I think that's the range of his knockdown. Like I think it
Oh,
stuns
okay,
and
okay.
it pulls, but it does more damage if he can pull you to right underneath him, and he does like a little like elbow slam kind of, and it looks sweet. Um, so really
So,
cool. It might pull you all the way to him. I apologize if that's the case, and we nixed that. But cool new final animation that does damage. That looks sweet.
mhm. Yeah, that would change a lot of how you play around Ares for just follow up, especially from mages. If he doesn't pull you, it'd be a fun little mini game, I guess, to calculate that in your head of like which chain to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I feel like it should be all the way to him. It'd be weird if it wasn't. I think I'm not a
We
fan of that
we
change if it's not
definitely
all the way to.
we definitely talked about it. I don't remember. I don't remember what we ended up doing. I've been kind
It's
of in my own world since moving a little bit, being out of the office
yeah.
and working on my own stuff. So again, apologies if that got changed, and I've ruined all of your lives. But there you go. There's a little dev thing. We experimented with it. Who knows if we went with it? Not me. Uh, that'll do it, I believe, for these patch notes. 24/7 is coming up soon, as Isaiah helped confirm during our last episode, so not too long before then. I don't think let me check our Patreon Discord. I forgot to ping them. It's my fault. We don't have any brand new questions of the week from our Patreon Discord, patreon.com/backliners, if you want to join up there and support us. But, Barra, I did have an important question for you regardless.
Ooh,
As I
nice.
said, College Football 25 is out. I don't know if you knew this, but Kennesaw State is in the game. I know that you're like,
What?
yeah, you can play as Kennesaw State.
No shot. That's
I
huge.
believe so.
That's actually sick.
I'm gonna double check because now yeah, you can do it. I'm
Dude.
deciding on who to make my dynasty run with. Sell me on Kennesaw State. Why should I take Kennesaw State football to be on the level of UGA and the other, Alabama, the other powerhouses?
Well, you need to do it for me,
Oh, okay.
because it was one of those. It was one of those things where, right when I started going there, I was told that we'd have a college football team,
Uh huh.
and then every year it was like we'll have a college football team. Next year we'll have a college football team. Next year we'll definitely have a
They
college
didn't.
football team.
They didn't have a football team while you were there.
No, and then I think it
That's
wasn't
so.
even until I graduated. It
That's
was like a
so
few years
troll.
after that, and it was like the same thing for my high school. Like they're like, "Oh, you're gonna be the first graduating class in the new high school," and then no, it was. It was the class
No.
after us was also told the same thing, and no,
Yep.
it was like 2 years later. I'm like, why are you guys just lying to me? So yeah, you need to do it for me and my sob story of wanting to go to college football games and never being able to.
Hmm.
So I need you to make a dynasty and you know do it for me. I
I
would
do think it
appreciate
would be
that.
kind of fun if I did a Kennesaw State dynasty and gave like weekly updates as to how we're doing. Um, that seems like it could be fun for me. So I will heavily consider picking Kennesaw State. Neon in the chat asked, "I'm not going to rebuild Pitt." I'm not a big Pitt guy, Neon. I didn't go to Pitt. I was actually more of a Penn State guy. A lot of my family went to Penn State. Have also some family that went to Notre Dame. But doing dynasties with those like really good schools like doesn't sound that fun to me. You know, they're too
It
good.
needs, it needs to be Kennesaw State because you're really working from the ground up
Okay,
here.
well here's
Like
the thing. I don't want to work
they
from the
bear,
bottom up. You know, like I was thinking something like I don't know. I don't know. I really didn't have a great idea. Like, what about like Rutgers? Like Rutgers could be fun. Do
who
you
cares about Rutgers?
do you even
No
know
one.
where Rutgers is or what they look like,
I've
Vera?
heard the name before.
Okay, they're a New Jersey school. I was thinking Hawaii could be cool. Wouldn't Hawaii be sweet? Their
Yeah, but
jerseys are
after
dope.
Kennesaw State. After. You got stuff to do before, you start thinking about other schools.
Okay, I will look into Kennesaw State and
He's
see.
not gonna do it.
Oh, what if I did like Kent State in Ohio? I had friends who went to Kent State, the Golden Flashes. What about
Uh
them? What
no,
what is the Kennesaw
that's
State mascot, Bera?
Owl.
The Owls. Oh, I kind of like that.
See?
Let's look at
We don't
the
even know what football is.
let's look at the jerseys. Oh, the jerseys are kind of nice here, Barry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Kennesaw State is
Just
in the running.
good. Just try it out. Just see if you like what we got to offer. I don't know what we got to offer, but see what you like about it. Just try it out.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. That reminds me. Oh no.
Oh no.
I was gonna say, do you want me to make you the quarterback? Like I'd make a new
Oh please,
character, John
please.
Salter, the quarterback. But that reminds me of my greatest troll I've ever done in my entire life. I was like 11, and I have an older sister. She's a few years older than me, and I loved, if she brought her boyfriend over, messing with your older siblings, like significant others, is like the key of trolling as a younger sibling, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
well, you have siblings, right, Barra? Where are
Yeah,
you in the hierarchy?
I was the youngest.
Okay,
So
so
I
yeah,
was the
so you're getting what I'm putting down. Like you want to mess with them a little bit, right?
yeah, yeah. Just like just make them a little uncomfortable.
Well, I made my sister's boyfriend
Oh
the
no.
most uncomfortable because I decided he was a basketball player, and so I made him as a created player in my NBA
Oh.
Live game. And every time he would come over, I would insist on bringing him into my room and telling him about how he's been doing recently in my franchise. And he hated it. And I thought it was the funniest thing in my sister was mortified every single time. But I'd be like, yo, Dan, like, we're second in the division right now. Like, you've been having a few too many turnovers recently, but we're gonna get it back. You're averaging like 11-7, which is pretty good. Like, I would literally give him the whole rundown, and
And you were 11?
yeah, no, I thought this was really funny.
This seems like an elaborate troll for an 11-year-old.
Yes,
Maybe 11-year-olds are smarter than I think they are.
I think I might just have a gift when it comes to making people deeply uncomfortable. Maybe that's just
That is
something I'm good about.
that is so much more elaborate than anything I ever would have done. Like the fact that you got that much joy out of it, I feel like I would have done it in like an actual like making them try to be interested, but
Hmm.
you did it purely to troll. And I feel like I
Yeah.
didn't even know what trolling was when I was that young. Like
Well, yeah, I
you
mean,
were just advanced.
like, it was just I remember they walked in while I was playing one day, and he was like, "Oh, I play basketball. Like, maybe I'll be in that game someday." And I was like, "I can make you." And he was like, "No, that's okay." And I was like, "I got it." And then I just did. And I'd put him in garbage time just to inflate his stats, just so I could tell him about his stats. Like, I was really into it. I wonder if I was the reason they broke up. That would be really funny. Anyways, thanks so much for watching / listening, everyone. We'll be back next week with some more Smite 1 or Smite 2 stuff. Yeah, I won't make any of you in my franchise, but I might make Bera and give him updates on how he's doing. We'll see. Okay. Anyways, until then, Bera, you know what to do. No, it got cut off. It got cut off. Oh my God, it got cut off again. The first one, the first half got cut off, and the second one, the second half got cut off. And that leads us to the third one.
Bye. There you go. That one didn't get cut off. I just had to raise my pitch a lot.
Yeah. And you know what? We did it. Say what you will, but you have to admit, we did it.
We finished it.